All right, let's get right into it. Today we're cracking open a really fascinating source, the 2024 Hacker's Manual. It's a huge collection of tutorials and insights from the experts over at Linux Format magazine, and it really pulls back the curtain on a world that, let's be honest, is usually misunderstood. So, let's see what's inside.
Okay, so first things first. When I say the word hacking, what's the first image that pops into your head? Probably some person in a hoodie sitting in a dark room, right? Illegally breaking into things. But what if that whole Hollywood image is just wrong? Or at least a very, very small part of a much bigger story.
So the manual tackles this stereotype right from the get-go. It's all about peeling back those layers of movie fiction to get to a reality that's way more interesting and, a lot more important.
And here's the contrast laid out perfectly. On the one hand, you have the myth, this malicious criminal. But the manual argues the reality is something else entirely. It's a tinkerer, someone who is just fundamentally curious about how things work, someone who wants to poke and prod at technology to learn from it, and maybe even improve it. It's a total shift in mindset, from crime to pure creativity.
And this quote from the manual just hits the nail on the head. It says the correct use of the word hacking refers to honorable pastimes, things like tinkering and reimagining. So it's not about destruction, it's about ingenuity, about that very human desire to see what's possible and push a machine beyond its original design.
So where did this whole ethos come from? Well, to really get the modern hacker mindset, the manual takes us back to one of the most important open source projects ever, the creation of Linux. And it's a story that starts, of all places, in a student's dorm room.
You see, this didn't just appear out of nowhere. The groundwork was laid way back in '69 with Unix, which is kind of the granddaddy of our modern operating systems. Then in the '80s, you had Richard Stallman's GNU project, which really championed this radical idea of a completely free OS. And all of that set the stage for 1991, when a 21-year-old student named Linus Torvalds decided, pretty much just for fun, to build his own operating system kernel. That's the absolute core of the system that talks to the hardware.
And you have to love the announcement he posted online. Listen to this. He says, "I'm doing a free operating system. It's just a hobby. Won't be big and professional like GNU." I mean, talk about an understatement, right? This is the ultimate passion project born from that exact tinkering spirit we were just talking about. And it literally went on to change the entire world of computing.
Okay, so let's fast forward from that dorm room to today. What are the modern-day tinkerers using? The manual gives us this incredible peek inside the toolkit of today's security professional. And let me tell you, this isn't a bunch of crowbars and hammers, it's more like a surgeon's tray. It's an arsenal for analysis.
So the whole thing often starts with a specialized operating system, like Kali Linux, which comes preloaded with all the tools you'd need. You've got network scanners like Nmap, which are basically your sonar for seeing everything connected to a network. Then there are frameworks like Metasploit, which is like a giant ring of skeleton keys for testing locks. And you've got packet analyzers like Wireshark, which act like a super powerful microscope, letting you inspect every single piece of data flying across the wires.
So, what's the point of having all this powerful stuff? Well, here's the crucial part. It's for ethical work. The main job is something called penetration testing, or pen testing for short. Basically, you get paid to think like a bad guy. You get official permission to try and break into a system to find all the holes before a real attacker does. It's all about authorized simulated attacks, all for the sake of defense.
And that brings us to this really cool paradox that sits at the very heart of cybersecurity. It's this idea that the best defense is a good offense. You simply have to understand how to attack a system if you want any hope of defending it properly.
In the security world, this gets organized into what they call red teams and blue teams. It's like a constant sparring match. The red team are the good guy attackers. Their job is to find a way in. The blue team is the defense. Their job is to spot the attack and shut it down. And by doing this over and over, the entire organization's defenses get stronger and sharper. And this whole concept is still evolving. The manual highlights a new Linux distribution, which is just a version of Linux packaged for a specific purpose, called Kali Purple. And what's so cool about it is that it tries to combine the tools for both the red and blue teams into one place. It's built on the idea that attack and defense are two sides of the same coin, and the best pros need to be fluent in both. So why is all this constant training and testing so incredibly important? because the threats out there are just on another level. To give you some scale, the manual points to an attack that Microsoft stopped back in 2021. It was a DDoS attack, basically a fire hose of garbage data meant to flood their servers. That flood peaked at 3.47 terabits per second. It is almost impossible to imagine that amount of data. It's a digital tidal wave, and that's the kind of thing defenders have to be ready for.
Now, I know this all sounds like massive, high-stakes corporate stuff, but here's where it gets really practical. The manual makes it super clear that these exact same principles can be used by any of us to take back a little bit of control over our own digital lives.
You can actually follow the pro's playbook right at home. Step 1, figure out what's even connected to your Wi-Fi. You might be surprised. Step 2, scan those devices for open digital doors that someone could just walk through. Step 3, lock down who has permission to do what. And step 4, this is a big one. Stop staying logged in with the all-powerful root or administrator account. That's like leaving the master key to your entire house just sitting in the front door.
The manual even offers a bit of security philosophy with this fantastic quote. Real security isn't about piling on more and more software, more and more locks. It's about minimalism. It's about getting rid of what you don't need, closing doors you aren't using, and reducing your digital footprint. The less there is to attack, the safer you are.
And all of this leaves us with one last really powerful question to think about. In a world that is literally built on lines of code, understanding this stuff, the hacker mindset, isn't just a niche technical skill anymore. It's becoming a new kind of literacy. Understanding how our digital world works, how it can be bent, and how it can be reimagined, well, that's fundamental to understanding where the power really lies today.